On Wednesday, December 17th, Governor State University's esports team, the GSU Jaguars, won the ECAC Division G Championship for Marvel Rivals. The team won a decisive victory, winning the final match 4-0. This was the first season the Governor State students competed in for esports events. Not only did they have a near-flawless final game, the team had an incredible first season as well, with a final record of 10 wins and 0 losses. In Marvel Rivals, 2 teams of 6 players worked together to complete various objectives over the course of a game, such as controlling a central point in a King of the Hill-like game mode, or escorting a payload across the map, while the opposing team tries to do the same. With 1 championship under their belt, the GSU Jaguars are looking forward to even more competition in future seasons. For GovState News, this is Graham Taylor.
Hi, I'm Mia Romo, and I'm here at the Lansing Public Library where they will later showcase their annual Festival of Lights event. The Festival of Lights is a collaboration between the Lansing Public Library and the Lansing Historical Society Museum to celebrate the upcoming holiday season with the local community. The evening featured a performance from TF North and TF South High School choir departments, bringing cheer to the audience as they sung along to their favorite holiday tunes.
So this event, the Lansing Library, their tree lighting ceremony, is something they do annually and something that we've been a part of since I've been at TF North. And it's a cool opportunity because we bring North and South choirs together, which we only do a couple times a year, but this is the first time we do it. So it's kind of a nice moment for them to kind of get to know each other a little bit before we do a big event in February.
I just love seeing how the crowd interacted with them when they were singing. I was like, oh, so cute, so magical.
After the performance, people were invited to visit the Lansing Historical Society's annual display, featuring 37 Christmas trees and other exhibits of holiday customs from over 28 different countries around the world.
Many of our trees are put up by our members, but certain trees, people from the community come in and take special pride in doing their own tree for their own ethnicity. We are so proud of our community that we have this many ethnicities represented, and we like to feature them all and celebrate.
This is Mia Romo reporting for Jaguar News at Noon.
Hi, I'm Morgan Hokinson here with the Steger Fire Department at their Christmas pancake breakfast. Every year, the Steger Fire Department holds a pancake breakfast with Santa Claus. This event's goal is to bring the community together during the festive holiday season.
Well, we try to, bring people together in the Christmas time. So it's really all about bringing people together. We like to throw some community events just to, have the people of the town meet the fire department too, because there's not a lot of chances unless you're having the worst day of your life.
Guests paid $5 per person for entry, which included a raffle ticket with prizes from local communities and access to a bake sale.
It's like a good, probably month at least of preparation, especially sending out like the raffles, the mailing stuff with the post office dealing. It takes a month or two in prep.
Earnings went back into the fire department's funds, allowing them to hold more community events like this.
Christmas was about the kids, before I had children, there was a long time in my life where Christmas was like, meh, I didn't care. But, seeing our little babies, we delivered this one. This, you want to come on camera? Yeah. This little guy was born in the back of our ambulance. Was it last year?
Yes.
Yeah.
December 30th.
So he gets to come around. So now we get to see him from birth all the way up to enjoying Santa, and I can't beat that. That's a good time.
I'm Morgan Hokinson, reporting for Jaguar News.
On December 19th, the Department of Justice released over 300 gigabytes of records and court documents related to the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein, known pedophile, financier, and former friend of President Donald Trump. The release of these documents follows the near-unanimous passing of a bill last month that required the department to release all of the documents related to Epstein. Despite many of these files being released publicly for the first time, politicians and citizens from both parties claim that these documents are still incomplete. Most of the released records have been poorly redacted. Some of the released documents were fully redacted black pages, while others were under-redacted, exposing at least one of Epstein's victims. 16 files that were initially released were quietly removed from the Department of Justice's online library, where the files are currently being disseminated. 5 days after the deadline, the Department of Justice announced via social media that it somehow uncovered over 1 million more documents and would need weeks to prepare them for release. This again spurred criticism from both parties. While many of the released files mention Trump, as well as other powerful public figures, one letter in particular is in the spotlight. The letter, signed by J. Epstein and dated 2019, 3 days after Epstein's death in jail, which was ruled a suicide, claims that, quote, "Our president also shares our love of young, nubile girls," end quote, referencing Trump during his first term. The DOJ has since claimed that the letter in question is fake, leading journalists to ask the department why it is releasing fake documents. In spite of the bipartisan call from both parties for transparency regarding the Epstein investigation, the handling of the release of documents by the Department of Justice has been an unorganized mess, and if anything has muddied the waters more than cleared them. With the reveal of even more documents that are still being released, this story will continue into 2026. For GovState News, this is Graham Taylor.
Fear of possible ICE raids affected the holiday season for many immigrant families in Los Angeles. Parents say anxiety kept them from attending public events or traveling, and many children missed out on holiday traditions and gifts. Community organizers responded with a toy drive, delivering presents directly to families and offering reassurance that they are not alone. This has been Noah Norris for GovState News.
Over the past 4 months, the military, under the Trump administration's leadership, has been escalating violence against Venezuela through a series of unauthorized ballistic strikes and other controversial maneuvers. The first strike occurred on September 2nd, and many more have occurred throughout the rest of the year, with the most recent taking place on December 4th. Almost all of these attacks have been labeled as illegal in one way or another according to law experts. The administration's justification for these strikes have been inconsistent, but U.S. officials claim that the attacks have been an effort to combat the flow of drugs into the country. However, Venezuela has a relatively small impact on the global drug trade, especially compared to some of its neighboring countries. Trump and his administration's interest in Venezuela is likely due to the country's oil reserves, or to oppose their current president, Nicolas Maduro, a member of the nation's left-wing Socialist Party. On Wednesday, December 10th, the United States seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela, supporting this theory. 2 more oil tankers have been targeted and boarded by U.S. troops since then. Experts have stated in response to these events that the actions are unjustifiable at best, and in the case of some of the deadly strikes, potential war crimes at worst. The people being killed in these attacks are not criminals, and little information is available about them prior to the strikes. But that isn't stopping the U.S. military and the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, from carrying out these unconstitutional attacks. The current administration's actions point to the brutality being an attempt to destabilize the area and then plunder it in the aftermath. For GovState News, this is Graham Taylor.
New studies show COVID-19 vaccines significantly reduce risk for children during the pandemic. Health experts found vaccinated children were far less likely to experience severe illness, hospitalization, or serious complications even as new variants spread. The vaccinations were especially effective in protecting children with underlying health conditions. Researchers say pediatric vaccination also helped ease strain on hospitals and schools, playing a key role in keeping communities safer overall. This has been Noah Norris for GovState News.
On November 26th, 2 members of the National Guard were attacked in broad daylight in Washington, D.C. The 2 guardsmen, Andrew Wolf and Sarah Beckstrom, were members of the West Virginia National Guard and were deployed in D.C. on the orders of President Donald Trump, which was a controversial and legally questionable move. Both were rushed to the hospital following the shooting, where Beckstrom died the next day. Wolf is still recovering. The shooting occurred just after 2 p.m. near Farragut West Metro Station. The gunman approached the 2 and proceeded to open fire point blank, shooting both of them and engaging in a short firefight. The suspect, Romanula Lakenwall, was critically wounded but survived and was taken into custody. Lakenwall was a CIA asset and began working with the agency in 2011. Before moving to the United States, he worked as a part of a paramilitary Zero unit, trained by the U.S. to carry out brutal attacks on suspected terror targets in Afghanistan. Republican politicians were quick to try and blame the Biden administration, despite Lakenwall's asylum status being granted during the first Trump administration. The FBI is currently investigating the attack as a possible act of terrorism. On December 2nd, Lakenwall pleaded not guilty to the charges, which included first-degree murder. For GovState News, this is Graham Taylor.
Vinyl records are back and Gen Z is driving the comeback. Once seen as a nostalgic niche, vinyl has become a mainstream trend among younger listeners. Many Gen Z consumers are drawn to the physical experience, collecting records, displaying colorful pressings, and forming deeper connections with their favorite artists. Limited edition releases and strong fan culture are boosting demand even among buyers who don't own record players. In an era dominated by streaming, Gen Z's preference for tangible, intentional experiences is helping make vinyl one of the fastest growing segments in the music industry. This has been Noah Norris for GovState News.
CBS's premier weekend news program, 60 Minutes, is in hot water after the decision was made to pull a highly publicized story last minute. The story, which focused on people deported by the current Trump administration's immigration and customs enforcement raids, and the CCOT maximum security prison they were sent to in El Salvador, was set to air during the December 21st episode, before it was announced the Friday before that the story had been cut from the lineup. A week prior to the CCOT story airing, a promotional video was aired to advertise the segment.
The deportees thought they were headed from the U.S. back to Venezuela.
Did you think you were going to die there?
We thought we were already the living dead, honestly.
Sharon Alfonsi, the 60 Minutes correspondent who reported the story, said that CBS's new editor-in-chief, Barry Weiss, spiked the story. When Alfonsi reached out to Weiss requesting a meeting to discuss the story, Alfonsi said Weiss avoided her. Weiss said in a statement that they decided to pull the story because they had received no response from the White House after reaching out with questions about the report. However, Alfonsi states that the segment was cleared to air multiple times internally by both CBS's legal team and Standards and Practices. Alfonsi, along with other CBS and 60 Minutes staff, believe that the decision to cut the immigration story is a political one. Trump sued CBS and Paramount last year over a 60 Minutes segment regarding presidential candidate Kamala Harris. Even after killing the segment and replacing it with another one, the full CCOT segment did air accidentally in a limited number of regions. Canadian streaming service Global TV aired the original, unedited episode with Alfonsi's report intact. It wasn't long before journalists and others recorded and uploaded the segment independently to social media sites and YouTube. The episode was quickly removed from the streaming service and later replaced with the edited episode. Despite Weiss's best efforts, the segment was still released in the end, but the damage to the 60 Minutes brand in the public perception has already been done, as many suspect that Weiss was trying to smooth things over with the current administration following last year's lawsuit at the cost of effective journalism. For GovState News, this is Graham Taylor.
Hawaii is suing TikTok over concerns about youth safety. State officials say the social media platform encourages addictive use and exposes young users to harmful content and negativity impacting mental health. The lawsuit claims TikTok failed to adequately protect children and teens despite knowing the risks. TikTok has denied the allegations, saying it offers safety tools and protections for young users. The case adds to growing scrutiny of social media companies and their impact on youth. This has been Noah Norris for GovState News.
Music streaming giant Spotify dropped their annual Year in Review Wrapped campaign on December 3rd amid calls for users to boycott the company over various causes. While there has been a growing backlash to the streaming service over the years due to their unfair treatment of and low pay for the majority of artists who use the platform, many organizers have doubled down on protest efforts this year as Spotify began running recruitment ads for immigration and customs enforcement earlier in 2025. On top of the partnership with ICE and the paltry dues most musicians get paid, there have been other significant controversies that have led to the surge in users canceling their subscriptions. Between the platform's use and encouragement of generative AI and the former CEO Daniel Ek's million-dollar investments into AI military technology, Spotify opponents have been vocal online calling for people to cancel their plans. At least 3 separate organizations have called for people to boycott the service, including the Indivisible Project, Working Families, and the 5051 movement. These groups, who also helped organize the various No Kings protests that took place all across America this year, have once again collaborated to launch their Spotify Unwrapped campaign, encouraging protesters to spread the word about Spotify's failings. The Fight for the Future nonprofit has also launched a similar campaign called Spotify Whacked, encouraging subscribers to end their subscriptions by the end of the year, and helping users to send feedback to the company in an attempt to hold Spotify accountable. For GovState News, this is Graham Taylor.
Southwest Airlines is expanding in Central Texas. The airline plans to open a new crew base in Austin, creating jobs for pilots and flight attendants, and strengthening operations at Austin-Bergstrom International Airport. Company officials say the move reflects strong travel demand in the region and a long-term commitment to Austin as a key hub. The new crew base is expected to improve scheduling, boost efficiency, and enhance customer service as Southwest continues to grow its presence in the city. This has been Noah Norris for GovState News. A powerful winter storm system is threatening to disrupt travel across large parts of the United States. Millions of people are under winter weather alerts as heavy snow, strong winds, ice, and freezing rain move through the Midwest and Northeast. In some areas, blizzard conditions are making driving extremely dangerous, while major airports are seeing hundreds to thousands of flight delays and cancellations during a busy travel period. Forecasters say conditions can change rapidly, continuing to affect both air and road travel, and are urging travelers to monitor forecasts closely and reconsider non-essential trips. This has been Noah Norris for GovState News.
On Sunday, December 14th, 2 gunmen, a father and son, opened fire at a Hanukkah celebration at Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia. 15 people were killed and 40 others were injured and hospitalized in the anti-Semitic terror attack before police arrived, with one victim being an 87-year-old survivor of the Holocaust. Once police arrived, they killed one of the assailants and arrested the other. This attack is now Australia's second deadliest mass shooting event. The shooting started after 6 o'clock in the evening as the beach was filled with over 1,000 attendees, most of whom were celebrating the first night of Hanukkah. The shooters threw pipe bombs at a crowd of people that failed to explode from atop a bridge. Following that, they opened fire with rifles and shotguns until police arrived at the scene and neutralized the duo. Before law enforcement arrived, multiple heroic civilians intervened. Boris and Sophia Gurman, a Jewish couple attending the celebration, noticed one of the gunmen before the attack started and disarmed him. The gunman retrieved another weapon before shooting and killing the two. Ahmed Al-Ahmed, an unarmed 43-year-old father who was at the beach during the attack, tackled and disarmed one of the gunmen, forcing him to briefly retreat. Al-Ahmed was shot by the other shooter, but survived the attack and is currently hospitalized but recovering. Others also attempted to intervene, throwing debris at the gunmen or otherwise approaching the gunmen to interfere with the attack. Members of the Bondi Surf Lifesaving Club also provided first aid while waiting for emergency responders to arrive. Officials investigating the attack have stated that the shooting was targeted and planned. On December 17th, the surviving shooter, son of the deceased second shooter, was charged with over 59 offenses, including 15 counts of murder, and is awaiting trial scheduled for April 8th of 2026. For GovState News, this is Graham Taylor.
A public vigil was held in Hong Kong to honor the victims of a deadly fire that claimed multiple lives. Residents gathered to light candles, observe moments of silence, and share messages of remembrance for those who were lost. Community leaders and government officials offer condolences to the victims' families as they stood along mourners. Authorities say an investigation into the cause of the fire is currently ongoing. The vigil served as a powerful display of unity as the community came together to grieve and support one another in the wake of the tragedy. This has been Noah Norris for GovState News.
We failed. We never stood a chance.
This is not over. Not by a long shot. Everything we have ever assumed about the Upside Down has been dead wrong.
Welcome to Hollywood Buzz, your source for the latest news in the entertainment industry. I'm your host, Graham Taylor, and today we'll be looking at upcoming releases, celebrity news, and the latest from Hollywood. Let's get started. As the ball dropped in Times Square on New Year's Eve, fans of the hit Netflix show Stranger Things gathered to watch the highly anticipated final episode. The feature-length episode wrapped up the fifth and final season of one of the biggest breakout hits to come from the streaming giant. The third movie in James Cameron's Avatar franchise, Avatar: Fire and Ash, released on December 19th. The blockbuster once again saw success at the box office, grossing almost $1 billion before the end of the year. Alan Cumming is receiving 2026's first new star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The Broadway and silver screen actor will receive the award on January 8th. Beloved Hollywood director and activist Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were found dead in their Los Angeles home on December 14th in an apparent attack. Their son, Nick Reiner, was taken into custody and charged with 2 counts of murder, though the investigation is still ongoing. For GovState News, this has been Graham Taylor with the latest Hollywood Buzz.
A Hollywood director has been found guilty of scamming Netflix of approximately $100 million. Federal prosecutors say Carl Eric Lynch, best known for directing 47 Ronin, falsely claimed the money would be used to produce a science fiction series. Instead, Lynch allegedly diverted the funds for personal expenses including luxury cars, designer goods, and investments. The case highlights growing concerns about financial oversight in the streaming industry as platforms continue to invest heavily in original content. This has been Noah Norris for GovState News.
At Governor State University, Earth Day was celebrated through a multitude of activities throughout the week. Earth Week included events such as electronics recycling, a garden event on the patio, tree planting, pharmaceutical recycling, road cleanup, and much more. One of the more annual events includes a walk through GSU's own Nathan Manilow Sculpture Park. Multiple group walks were hosted throughout Earth Week, while also encouraging students and visitors to walk on the trails on their own time to celebrate Earth Day. The Nathan Manilow Sculpture Park is open to the public all year round, but it is especially appreciated around Earth Day as the park aims to connect art and nature through a collection of 30 different pieces within 100 acres. This prairie museum also includes multiple sculptures made entirely of recycled material. A unique aspect of this park is that the landscape is beautiful throughout all 4 seasons. The trails are open for the public 365 days of the year and is conserved with the intent of making the land better than when it was found. After being founded in 1976, the sculpture park continues to remain maintained as a result of grants and donations. Other contributions include those who give their time to serve the community and students by leading explorative and educational tours of the museum. This is Anna Leave with GovState News.
Here at Governor State University, the Advocating for Sexual Assault Prevention team is teaming up with the Crisis Center for South Suburbia for a special resource table event. Held in the main atrium, the event invites students, faculty, and staff to learn about support services and access resources for those impacted by domestic violence.
We're here at Governor State today to give resources for students if they're dealing with domestic violence or if they know someone. We do have our emergency shelter. We have our 24-hour hotline where you can call, text if any emergencies arise. And we also have counseling services, housing services. We also have a volunteer program, so any students that are like psychology majors or social work majors, they can come and volunteer for us.
Organizers hope the event will raise awareness, empower survivors, and strengthen the community's commitment to prevention and support. This has been Noah Norris for GovState News.
Good evening. My name is Jada Thompson with GovState News, and today I am outside on our back patio for the first Groovin' at GovState outdoor concert for summer of 2025.
This past week, GovState held their first annual Groovin' at GovState summer concert outside of the CPA. This set was sung by Denise Stimes, who performed a smooth jazz number for the crowd.
What do they call me?
This free event was put on by Tracy Williams and the Center of Performing Arts.
We really just want to create a sense of community for a place where people can come together and listen to wonderful music and gather and talk. And, the university is a beautiful campus, so introducing the community members to the campus that they may not be aware, and then having this for our campus community as well.
There were 2 food truck vendors on the site that attendees could enjoy, along with a full-service bar, which included some specialty cocktails.
The chili was really good. It was a little spicy, but it was really good. I also was able to try some of their mocktails. Their mocktails was very good as well.
GovState intends to keep these concerts going on, not only this summer, but for future years to come. There are 3 other concerts you can enjoy if Denise Thimes' performance was missed.
For GovState News, this has been Jada Thompson.
Despite numerous attacks against them and recent unfavorable Supreme Court rulings, millions of people from the LGBTQA+ community have been celebrating all around the nation throughout the month of June. One such celebration took place in Chicago at Navy Pier on June 28th. Free to attend, the event was open to everyone and started when the pier opened at 10 a.m. In addition to all of the usual attractions at Navy Pier, including the iconic Centennial Wheel, the waterfront also hosted a myriad of special activities throughout the day to celebrate Chicago's LGBTQA+ community. The Queer Dance Freak Out Dance Company contributed to the festive atmosphere by filling the pier with music while showing off their dance routines throughout the day. The company, which consists entirely of transgender and non-binary dancers, also got the crowd involved, getting passersby off their feet and inviting crowds of attendees to dance along.
Like a mechanical bull.
The pier also hosted an artisanal market during this time, inviting local artists and crafters to show off their work and connect with the community. The day ended with a fireworks show over the waters of Lake Michigan, a colorful and joyful conclusion to a colorful and joyful event. Numerous other Pride events were also held throughout Chicago during June. Following Navy Pier Pride, the city also hosted their annual Pride Parade on June 29th. For GovState News, this is Graham Taylor.